Act like we never left BDA, and today some more shit is going down, yo. Some more shit is going down from the Migos situation, and I wanted to talk about it. The Migos situation is blowing up. It's gone viral at this point, but this situation is between Joe Budden and DJ Akademiks. Now, what's happening right now is that Joe Budden, he called DJ Akademiks a bitch, right? So here's the clip right here. Check it out. Joe Budden calling DJ Akademiks a bitch. Well, not really a bitch. He called him a pussy. He said he's the biggest pussy he's ever seen. So here's the clip with him calling DJ Akademiks a pussy.
Akademiks is one of the biggest pussies I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right, so Joe said this shit, and honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that this is being brought up in this way, because it just seems like Akademiks is being used to prop Joe up, or Joe is using Akademiks in that way. Akademiks responded on stream that video, or he uploaded a video on his other channel, King Akademiks. You can check that video out down below. But he's mad. He's mad that Joe is kind of attacking him, and the narrative around it is that he's the pussy and he's the reason why Migos stormed off and all this shit. And he even mentioned that, you know, them cutting shit out. They cut the shit out that they wanted to cut out that made Joe look crazy, but they left in him, you know, saying all that shit to the Migos, when they could have cut that too. If you were so worried about how it looked and the perception, you could have kept out the whole fucking interview at that point. But you wanted a viral moment. You know, the Akademiks thing was looking crazy. It looked awkward, but you kept it in there. But for Joe, you cut it for Joe. So Joe has a brand thing that you're trying to maintain, but you don't give a fuck about Akademiks and his brand. That's what I'm getting from it, and I think Akademiks is time to realize that. Charlemagne today on The Breakfast Club, he said something about it to call Joe a lame because Joe didn't have the same energy. I mean, that's kind of true, because after the fact, Joe's like, I'd take 2.5 Migos, blah, blah, blah. And this thing is kind of escalating. This is escalating to the point where I'm like, could this show be done? Charlemagne said 6 months. And at this point, it's looking like he's gonna make record time. I don't want it to end because it's a good show, but I feel like the show is at its best when they get along. When they beef and all that shit, it's not cool. It's cringy because Joe's saying, shut the fuck up. You don't know shit. You never been here before. Obviously, the nigga's new. That's why you're kind of there as a veteran to help him along. But with Akademiks, I feel like he's being used as like a meme at this point. And they're just like, yo, you're the serious guy and he's the funny guy. He's a guy we make fun of. Akademiks takes it for the most part. But when you start going to other platforms, his podcast, that's where he talked about it, and saying, yo, Akademiks is the biggest pussy I've ever seen. Personally, I'm like, yo, that looks crazy. Like, that just sounds crazy. Like, what? As a fan of both of these guys, I'm just like, yo, why? Like, why even do that? You know what I'm saying? And Akademiks even said Mal and Rory, they don't like him as well. And now we're gonna see where things go from here, because Charlemagne said it. Charlemagne called him out on it. You know, a month ago, maybe Charlemagne said it. But now it's playing out in the way he said, my nigga. I'm just like, yo, what's going on? I really can't wait for tomorrow's episode, because hopefully Akademiks has that quote unquote same energy that should have been thrown around tomorrow that he had in the video he uploaded to Joe, because he's mad at what Joe said. Hopefully he has the same energy, bro. Hopefully he goes in on Joe, I'm like, yo, I don't like what the fuck you been saying. And Joe, of course, is going to throw his hands up like, I ain't say shit. I could have said a lot of worse shit. You know, I could have said that, blah, blah, blah. I could have said this. And Joe's going to kind of downplay it or say, like, I could be worse if I wanted to. That's what he's going to say. And Akademiks, he has to make a choice. Do you want to continue this show? Which, in essence, is building him and his exposure, but hurting his brand and the perception of him. The perception of DJ Akademiks at this point is like, he's a fucking internet guy who doesn't know shit, who's basically half of everyday struggle, but he's a joke. He's not being taken seriously. Akademiks even said, like, they left the parts in there where I look crazy, you know, and took Joe's parts out. Do I even matter? Am I not that important? My nigga, bro, at this point, you're the reason why most niggas are watching the show. Joe is interesting. Joe has his podcast, but his podcast isn't doing everyday struggle numbers. It's not. You have your own platform, which is multiple times over of Joe's. Joe says he's an artist anymore. At this point, you got to make a decision, bro. Do you want to stay with this shit? Because it's going to keep happening. Because Joe doesn't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck about you. Every time an artist or a guest goes there, he talks shit like, yo, fuck Akademiks. He jumps on that bandwagon because he doesn't like the way you think. He doesn't like millennials. For the most part, he's like, man, when the artist is there, it's like, it's all happy-go-lucky. Number 9, fucking Joe. When they leave, it's fuck them. I can take 2.5 of them. I don't like that. I've grown to like Joe Budden a little more over the years. I had a perception of him when the whole thing came out with Esther Baxter. And I was like, yo, I don't know about Joe Budden, man. And I've grown to like him over the past couple of times. I mean, he talked about Migos energy. I've seen him in multiple interviews where he just had a terrible demeanor, terrible attitude. He's walked out of interviews. I'm just like, yo, that's being hypocritical. It's like, I'm not the media. Nigga, you are the media. You have to do these things are obligatory. You have to do these things. And if you don't want to do it, get the fuck off the platform. Don't be in it, but don't want to be in it. You're doing the same thing you're accusing them of. Don't sit here if you don't want to sit here. That's hypocritical. Real shit. So now they got a decision to make. Because tomorrow I expected shit to be tense. Akademiks better not pound that nigga. Pause. He better not, because then it's like, yo, my nigga. You hear what the nigga said about you? You heard that shit? You got it. Man. Gotta make a decision, bro. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought about it. What do you think about Joe calling Akademiks the biggest pussy? Rory kind of jumping on. Maul jumping on. I mean, personally, I think what they said was too bad. They just kind of fed off of what Joe was saying. I mean, they drop slick comments here and there, but for the most part, I don't think they hate Akademiks. I think it's disdain because Joe probably goes back off air and talks about Akademiks and is like, yeah, that nigga pussy. He did this, yeah, he is a pussy. So when you go back and tell your boys something, they kind of start feeding into that narrative and they kind of have that perception of you. So every time you say something about them, they're like, yeah, that nigga, he's a pussy, man. I don't know him, but based on everything I've heard from my nigga, he's a pussy, bro. And I think that's the perception of Akademiks at this point. And they have to make a decision. Akademiks got to make a decision. I love Everyday Struggle. It's a good dynamic when they get along. When Joe is just being demonstrative and just being dismissive and disrespectful, nah, it doesn't work. It's cringy. And Akademiks, he takes it. He takes it. I mean, he's not a real vocal guy. So he takes it and it's like, it comes off as him being, passive. But he knows like, okay, me going back and forth with Joe isn't good for the show. Sometimes Nadeska is annoying because Joe would get his word off. Then Akademiks is trying to talk. And she's like, no, we're going to move on. Because she knows she can talk over Akademiks, but she can't talk over Joe. So it's not fair in that way as well. So this show, it has some work to do. A lot of potential. Just because of how much of a firecracker Joe is. And how Akademiks can take what Joe does. They're opposites. Joe says they're more alike than not. They're not alike. They're not. They come from two different worlds. In a way, they're both introverts. Joe says he's an introvert or he doesn't like people, blah, blah, blah. Akademiks, he's online. No real actual interaction. So let's see where it goes. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe for more videos like this. And we'll catch you guys later. Peace.